Yeah. Hi.
Hey.
How are you?
Good. I was wondering who Sabine was. I was like, who is this person?
Yeah, I'm at my sister. I'm looking after my niece, and my laptop is not anywhere, and we don't have the same charger, so it's gonna be. We found the. I think we're good.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Who's the kid?
There's my little niece with me. Attends.
Oh, cute.
Where are you? Yeah. You say hello? She's tiny.
Hello. So cute.
Doing babysitting. One of the only things I think we can do. Yeah, she's so cute. Tick, tick. She's pretty cute. So I did quickly few things about life on land, why is nature so important, what we need to protect ecosystem, what we can do to help, about that biodiversity, which kind of repeats a little bit some of the other themes that we covered, but I tried to keep it simple.
Yeah.
And then the activity was like make your own herbarium. So I created, I created like the instruction, but what we're gonna do for this, I'm hoping it's just doing the first part, which is like asking the kid, hopefully they have picked some of their like plants, and then they can share with us like what they've picked.
Yeah.
And just like putting the plants between the piece of paper on the books so they dry.
Oh,
and then in a day or two they can continue the activity by themselves.
So what is the activity? They're drawing.
No, they're creating an herbarium. Is it like it's it's one of those books when you have like dry plants. So when you're like a researcher looking for like the different type of new plants, you pick plants, things like that, and then you dry them, and you can make posters or you can make like books out of it. It's really cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, I've seen that done before. I don't know what. I wasn't quite sure what the name is.
It's really funny because doing the research, I realized that's an activity that it's really common in France. Like I found so many YouTube videos for kids doing that. And in Australia, I mean, I was actually finding some difficulty. I just realized it wasn't such a common thing here.
Yeah, I think it's called pressing flowers or pressing leaves.
Yeah.
You put them between a book. You put them between books, right? Yeah. I've heard of it before. I've never personally done it. Yeah.
And then you just write the name, and you can either make a poster. You can do whatever you want with it. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, sweet. Sounds good.
That look again. I'm hoping it's not gonna last too long because
Seems like you got your hands full at the moment.
Yeah. It's just gonna be a nice other like conversation, mostly asking questions.
Yeah.
I don't know if you wanted to kind of ask them something before.
Yeah. Well, we'll follow up with last week's activity. And see everyone's going.
Yeah.
People are comfortable, go back into lockdown and stuff. I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't talk about that.
Maybe we can talk about school holidays. Did you
talk about school holidays? Good idea.
What was the activity last week?
We got them to draw. We wanted them to draw a picture of their, design a living building. So it's sort of like the one that they were supposed to do during the week. Looks like Mike and his kids, like Finn and Darcy, they'll be there. So they were there last week and they'll be here today. They've registered for today. So I'll follow up with them and ask if they did it and how they enjoyed it and things like that.
Do we have more sign up for today?
Just two. We've got Mike so Finn and Darcy, and then the girls, Sarah and Hillary.
Oh yeah, cool.
So hopefully they join.
Yeah, awesome.
So here we go.
I'm just gonna eat something quickly.
Yeah, I'm eating my.
I'm just gonna. Yeah. Okay.
It looks like we have Sarah and Hillary on the line.
Yahoo! Yeah. Ooh. Okay. How many billion of people live on the planet right now? Is it 8?
8 billion. 100 billion.
$7.6 billion individuals.
That's quite a few.
It's quite a few.
We're just waiting for Finn and Darcy, yep, and Mike, if they join. So we'll give them a couple more minutes, and then. Oh.
So was Nick gonna join as well, or no? No, I thought he was.
Got a few people.
Sarah.
Hey, everyone who's joined, do you guys want to turn off? Hey, there we go. Turn on your cameras so we can say hello.
And your microphone. Hello.
Hi.
Hey. Oh, different cameras this time. That's good.
Hillary. Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm sick with
Two.
How are you, Sarah?
Good.
Oh, I know. I'm not going to open the thing. There you go. You sit there.
Awesome. Have you guys gotten, Sarah and Hillary, have you gotten so sick of each other during the school holidays that you have to be in different rooms?
No, it's just my camera works better than the other one. So.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Well, are you still on school holiday? Is that your? Are you gonna go back to school on Monday?
Hey. Hey, boys.
Hello.
Hey, Mike. How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Everyone in Melbourne and enjoying the nice weather.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Glorious day.
Perfect for indoor activities.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Is this the last? This is the last weekend of school holidays. Is it?
No, it's been extended for another week.
Oh, crazy.
Schools are closed for a week.
Oh, that's why you've got an extra week.
Yeah, extra week, and then who knows how many weeks at home after that. We don't know. Do we? Well, pumped and looking forward to it.
Oh yeah. Has everyone decided to has everyone got any activities that they're going to try learn in the next 6 weeks?
Oh, just have fun, I think. We're just going to have fun, aren't we, boys?
Yeah. I've started. Oh yes, Sarah.
We're going on a holiday and gonna do some bike riding up at Narrabeen, I think.
Oh wow, awesome! That sounds fun.
Mm.
I've decided to pick up skateboarding again after not doing it for ages. Now that I can't do very much, I'm gonna get back on the skateboard. It's gonna be lots of fun.
That's nice.
Yeah. Although I'm not in school holidays. Yeah. So, Finn and Darcy, how did you guys go last week with last week's activity? Did you do the drawings?
No,
No. Why not?
I forgot.
Ah,
I did it.
you did it.
Yeah, Darcy finished his on the day that you said we were doing it.
Oh wow, that's awesome. Do you think that we could see it quickly? Do you have it on hand? You could show us.
I think we'll find it.
Awesome. So for Sarah and Hillary, last week we did a activity where we were looking at the future of our cities and what are buildings. We were imagining what buildings in the future would be like. And we asked the boys to do a drawing of like imagining what if they could design any kind of building in the future, what would it look like and what would it have in it? Would it have heaps of trees? Would there be food growing in it? You know, all kinds of ideas. So it was lots of fun, and we're gonna see Finn's drawing pretty soon once they come back. Just have to wait for 1 second.
So much suspense.
So much suspense, yeah.
What is it gonna be?
Hey. Oh, that one's cool. I like that one. Hey.
Can you do that on like? Can I do that, or it has to be on a phone?
My one's not very good. It always like.
How can you do that?
I lost it.
My nose is disappearing.
Yeah, you're blending into the universe.
Yeah. I'm becoming one with the universe.
Even though you don't have a green screen, the best way to make it pure is to say that you have a green screen. That's what I found.
Yeah, just say it. You've got a green screen.
Look at this one. What are those guys? Microgreen.
Microgreen.
Yeah.
Microgreen.
Woo! I've always wanted to be a microgreen. Sweet. All right. Can we see your picture?
I lost it.
You lost it. No. Oh well.
Make a new one.
You can describe what was it on it, just quickly.
It sort of was a treehouse
Oh, that's a cool idea.
inside the building.
Inside the building. That's a really cool idea.
And flowers and stuff.
It'd be pretty awesome if we were able to grow full-size trees inside buildings, eh? Imagine that. If you had like a building with multiple levels and there was a tree that grew up through all the different levels, that'd be pretty cool.
Well, I think there's an apartment building. I think it's in Italy. I can't remember. I might pick the city that is wrong, but they created like apartment building, and the balcony are strong enough that they can support trees. So they started planting trees to kind of like make sure that they're compensating with the fact that they're removing forest and green space from building the building, which is pretty cool.
It's very cool.
The forest building or something like that.
All right. Shall we kick it off?
Yeah.
You wanna? So today we're gonna look at quite a big topic: climate change. Woo!
Oh, today, sorry,
Hey.
life on land.
Oh, is it not?
Climate change is next week.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
That's okay.
Not looking at that. We're looking at. Maybe I'll stop talking. I'll let Cecile
we can talk about climate change. We can always talk about climate change. But we're still continuing working our way through the Sustainable Development Goals. And the number 15 is life on land. And maybe some of you, like, you know, some of those, I guess, goals that we covered, some of them can seem a little bit like similar. But yeah, this is quite specific on like life on land, and we can just discuss what it means for you guys, etc. And then we have the activity. I don't know if you read what was the activity. You needed to kind of like pick some like pieces of leaves or flowers. So I don't know if you've done that or not. If not, that's fine. We can talk through it. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Am I allowed to do that, Tobias?
Yes. Yes, you are now.
Okay. Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm not at home. I'm looking after my little niece. So hopefully it's all gonna be fine. I'm just like, I'm less in my my own environment right now. So life on land. I guess we're gonna talk about nature, which is nice because for me, one of the things I miss the most, I don't know about you, but one of the things I miss the most being in isolation is actually going into nature. So, you know, like full in forest. And I know we can do that in the city. So I try every day to kind of like, you know, enjoy the trees and the plants around us because it's really, really important for me. And I think for humans in general, it's really important because at the end of the day, humans have been living in nature for ever. So I'm just going to ask with like a real simple question for you guys. Like, why do you think nature is so important? Like, what do you think will happen if we live in a world without nature? Do you think that's possible?
Does anyone have any ideas? Yeah, Hillary?
I had to take it off.
Already done.
It would all be dirt and and it wouldn't look as pretty as most of it would be.
Yeah, nature is really pretty. I mean, not everyone agrees. Some people prefer the city, but I agree. I think nature is very pretty. It makes me very happy.
Finn?
And also, there's not as much food on the trees.
In the city?
No, if there was no plants, there would be like no berries.
That's right. So we won't be able, it will be hard for us to eat, right? Yeah, that's a really good one. What else, guys? Yeah.
Finn, is that, do you want to share?
Well, nature is trees, so if we didn't have trees, we wouldn't be able to breathe.
That's an important one.
Do you want to tell us about that? What do trees do that let us breathe?
Trees create oxygen.
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely.
And they capture carbon as well. And we know that the humans being create carbon, which kind of has an impact on like warming climate. So it's like nature and trees especially kind of like really are amazing to kind of like supporting life and supporting all life on Earth. So we said they bring us oxygen, they bring us food, they bring us, what else? Like even fire. Like remember, like imagine a world without fire, just to be able to get warm. It brings us all kinds of things. We've got a photo on a beautiful bush. So that's like a specific bush forest from Australia. But in general, forests are an ecosystem. Does everyone know what an ecosystem is?
Sorry, what was that question, Cecile?
What's an ecosystem? I'm just wondering if everyone know what is an ecosystem?
What an ecosystem is? That's a good question.
Ecosystem.
Does
Sorry.
anyone have any ideas?
No? So ecosystem is, I mean, it's a little bit of a scientific word. They say it's a biological community of interacting organisms and their physical environment. So to
What
just,
does that mean?
for example, if you go into your garden, that's going to be an ecosystem. And within the ecosystem, you're going to have little insects, you're going to have like birds, you're going to have specific type of plants, you're going to have specific type of soil. And all of this creates an habitat, an ecosystem. It's where all the living plants or animal can live in.
Mm.
And the word ecosystem is used a lot. You probably find out later on.
Has everyone seen The Lion King? Who's here has seen The Lion King? Has everyone seen that movie?
Yes.
Yeah. You know in that movie how they talk about the circle of life? You remember that? There's like all the different animals, and some animals eat the other animals, and then the larger animals die, and then they become food for the plants, and then other animals eat the plants, and it's all a ongoing, continuous cycle of life. And that's what an ecosystem is. It's a whole bunch of different organisms or things that are alive that are connected with each other in a circle, and they have a relationship. And every part of the ecosystem is just as important as another part, because without it, the whole circle would fall apart. It's kind of a cool idea, right? Actually, our fish tanks at home, our little fish tanks we're growing our microgreens, those are ecosystems, because the fish, the plants, and the bacteria in the water all rely on each other to thrive and grow.
That's a perfect example of an ecosystem within another ecosystem. So you have so many different levels. So for example, a forest can be an ecosystem. And do you have an idea, if you think, like if you look at the earth, most of the earth is actually covered by ocean. And then we've got the land. And within the land, do you have an idea of like how much is forest? Like for example, in Australia, do you think most of the land in Australia is forest? Yeah, do you have any idea? You can throw numbers and then we can just like see which one is the closest.
I think it says it on the slide.
No, but it's kind of hard to read. So it says forests cover nearly 31% of our planet's land area. So 31% of the whole land across the world is covered by forest. And forest is a really, really important ecosystem because it's really rich. You've got a lot of trees, big, small, and within the forest, you've got a lot of animals because you've got a lot of different trees, then they can attract a lot of different animals as well. So it's a really rich ecosystem that is really important to protect. But unfortunately, I don't know if you've heard of the word deforestation, which threaten forest here in Australia, but also in the rest of the world. Have you heard about this word, deforestation? It's a bit sad, but what do you know causes deforestation? Do you have any idea?
Finn?
Any idea? Yeah?
Hillary?
Cutting down trees.
Yeah,
Yes.
cutting down. And why would we need to cut down trees?
Finn and Darcy?
Also, mainly just like breaking trees.
Yeah.
Clearing them.
Mm.
Yeah, things. And often, there's like more or less good reason, but I guess the humans, they need to eat. And to be able to eat, we need to have crops and we need to kind of have fields to grow all kind of like food and to have our animals. And what happened often is like we cut a lot of the forest to be able to bring animals or to grow crops. So it's a lot easier. That's what happened in Australia. That's what happened in Amazonia in Brazil. I don't know if that's something you've heard of. And I mean, it is important to be able to feed the humans, but like everything, we need the right balance, because if we cut too much forest, what happened?
We'll lose all the animals.
Yeah. Well, we don't have any more trees, and without the tree, we know that they bring oxygen, they bring food, they
We
bring,
won't be able to breathe and we could probably all die.
yeah.
Potentially.
So it's really important that, you know, we protect our forest as well as much as we can. Like sometimes it's necessary to just clear up the land, but the problem in our world is sometimes we just do too much thinking about the short term and not about the future. So, you know, we want us and our children and grandchildren to be still able to have forests, to be able to kind of like breathe and to have all the benefit of like what forests bring. So there's three things that we can do. Like, for example, if we've got, you know, a land that is completely cleared of trees, it can has like really bad environmental impact as well. Do you have any idea? Do you know what happened to some land that have no more trees when sometimes it can rain a lot? Have you heard any of that? Any ideas? Yeah, no, yes?
Darcy?
No, you don't know?
Disappeared
Well,
into the grass.
yeah. So first I said like we've got a lot of animals that disappeared, but sometimes when there's a lot of water, the tree actually help the earth to capture the water and actually use the water for themselves. And what can happen sometime when there's like no trees is just the water is going to run down, and sometime can have damage on like flooding or all kind of things like that. So trees are really important to kind of keep a balance in our land and ecosystem. Sorry.
Yeah, a good example of that is like, what happens if you try and fill a sink up and you don't have the plug in the bottom of the sink? Does anyone have an idea? So you got your kitchen sink, you got the plug, and you don't put the plug into the hole, and you turn the tap on and you try to fill the sink up. What happens? Sarah, did you have an idea? Basically, the water just goes down the drain, doesn't it? You can't fill the sink up if you don't have the plug in. What happens if you put the plug in? If you put the plug in, then the sink actually fills up with water, and then water is able to be held in the sink. And trees actually do the exact same thing. Their roots hold the soil together, and they act as a bit of a plug, and they stop water from draining away quickly, and hold the water in the soil, which means that the soil can grow and become really rich and allow for more plants and more life to grow from it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a good example. So what can we do to just avoid that? You know, if for example, we don't have any more trees, what can we do? When we don't have enough forest?
Finn and Darcy?
Yeah.
More forests.
Yep, absolutely. We can plant more forest. Doing that.
And more trees.
More trees.
Have you ever planted a tree?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Sometimes the trees, they can start like tiny like this, and you plant them, and then they will just take like years and years to grow. But that's actually something, there's like a lot of activities even across Australia, across Victoria. There's even like, I can't remember the date of it, but there's a National Tree Planting Day. And there's organizations that just go and work on farms or different like park and reserve. And then there's just a lot of volunteers coming together, and they all come together to just plant more trees. Trees that actually come from, you know, are from like the right ecosystem, and just to help the whole land to kind of like turn back into what it used to, in like a healthier ecosystem. So everyone can just have an impact, and everyone, you know, planting trees is actually something you can do, and it's really enjoyable as well. I mean, I love doing that. If you got land, but even if you live in an apartment, you can take part of like volunteer activities as well. It's pretty easy, and that's really important to combat desertification. So then I'm going to talk about another word, which is the word biodiversity. Do you know what it is?
No, trust me. I just
Yeah, what is it? Biodiversity. Can someone tell me what it is?
Sarah, do you have an idea? It's okay, you can take a guess.
Yeah.
Anyone want to have a guess?
No? You've heard it before, have you? Biodiversity? No? Okay.
So when we look at that picture,
Yeah.
when we look at that picture, what do you think that picture is telling us about the word biodiversity? What's going on in the picture? Lots of, yeah, Finn and Darcy?
Well, I think the picture is telling us that it's sort of telling us that it's sort of saying that all animals and humans are working together.
Very good. That's correct.
That's really good. So biodiversity is pretty much like bio, which is life, I think, and diversity, which is just all kind of different things. And it's pretty much like the diversity of life. So remember when we talk about ecosystem, and we said within an ecosystem, you've got lots of different type of animals, lots of different type of insects, lots of different type of plants, and often they kind of like, that's their own habitat, they work together. Biodiversity is all of that. It's actually the word to use to talk about all the different life and the diversity of it. Because you can have, in the ocean, what type of biodiversity do you have?
We've got big fish, we've got plankton, we've got plankton, we've got whales eating plankton, we've got seafood, not seafood, we've got seaweed. Finn, Darcy?
Ducks.
Ducks?
Sharks.
Oh, sharks. Yeah. Yep, sharks are a huge part of the biodiversity of the ocean.
Yeah, exactly. So that biodiversity is all of this. And why do you think it's important? What happens if on the planet Earth we only have human left and all our biodiversity disappear? Do you think we could survive? Do you think it would be nice?
No,
Oh,
Why that?
because then you don't really get to have pets, or some animals are good for you and they make food.
Yeah.
Like cows, they make milk.
Yeah.
Chickens make eggs.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really important, like the diversity and the biodiversity on Earth. We kind of all work together. It's difficult sometimes when we live in a city and to understand how everything works together because it's big and there's just so many things. But a lot of researchers and scientists have worked on that, and they realize that Earth is this big ecosystem with all of those different elements and different animals and plants, and they all have a mission on Earth, right? And sometimes if we decide if by mistake we actually get rid of one, often we realize that it will have an impact on something else and often have an impact on human. So there's a balance, and that's the beauty of nature. There's this beautiful balance of nature, and sometimes humans, we tend to play with that balance, and often we learn the lesson. So it's important to kind of like try to keep that biodiversity and keep most of things alive in our world, but it's very complicated at the moment because we've got more and more humans that take more and more space on Earth, and because of that, there's less and less animals and plants.
Yeah, it's like in the photo, in the picture above. If you actually look at the human in that picture, Cecile, if you want to scroll up,
Yeah.
look at this. Look at the picture again. And you see how all the animals and all the trees are actually holding hands together. What is the human doing?
Just playing on his phone.
Playing on his phone. What a loser. He's not holding hands with all the animals and joining in and looking after the planet. It's a bit silly, isn't it? Yeah, so maybe that human should put down his phone and take a look at the world around him and hold hands with I think it's a deer and a cat next to him.
Yeah.
That'd be cool, eh?
A sphinx. I think it's a
Sphinx. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So if we go back to the last slide, how do you think we can protect our biodiversity and all the wild animals on Earth? Whether they're big elephant or little insect, how do we do that? Do you have an idea?
Yep, Finn?
We make a ban on killing all animals.
Yeah, that's one solution.
Yeah.
Banning, like, being able to kill some of the animals, that's a really good one. And it's happening, not yet all animals, but in some countries and around the world, there's some species that are almost gonna disappear. So we said, you can't do that anymore. You can't kill them.
Hillary?
Some animals you can kill, like chickens and some other stuff to eat.
Yeah. So that's what happened. We grow them, right? Well, we grow them. We don't grow animals. We farm animal, and we've got different type of animal that we prefer to farm because often they taste good, they just easy to look after, etc., etc. So they've been like selected by humans. So there's a lot of like different way of looking after biodiversity. Have you ever been to the zoo? I have. Yeah. So zoos are here not just to show you wildlife that you can't see in your part of the world, but they also have like lots of programs to actually protect some animals that are threatened in the wild. And often, sometimes you even have like programs that will kind of like have some animals that were born in a zoo and they're gonna be put in nature again. So that's kind of like trying to kind of bring that balance back and making sure that, well, if humans are killing wildlife, humans are going to try to fix that and bring wildlife back. And some programs are more successful than others, but it is important to be able to do that as well. So, zoo, but the best is actually to preserve and keep natural habitat of the wild animals. So, making sure that we've got national parks and protected parts where the animal in the wild cannot be killed. That's really important as well. So that's pretty much like the idea and the conversation that we wanted to have. Do you want to add anything else? Have you ever been to a country, or have you seen any, like in Australia, have you seen kangaroo in the wild? Have you seen koala in the wild? Or have you seen most of them in... Who has seen a koala in the wild? You've got a few more years. They're getting rare. Yeah.
Everything in the wild. A lot.
How many times have we been to the wild?
Elephants. When did you see an elephant in the wild?
They've been in the wild. That's pretty cool.
What about when we went down to Ura and you guys were playing with that spiky animal?
What was the spiky?
Porcupine.
Echidna.
Oh yeah, Darcy, do you want to tell us what you've seen in the wild?
Echidna.
Echidna.
Good.
I've never seen an echidna, so that's pretty cool. Hillary?
I have seen a blue-tongued lizard that we feed sausage to, and some possums that come into our house.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
We've got a lot of wildlife in the city as well. They're not just in parks and outside of cities.
Mm.
I've seen the fox in the city. Well, in Melbourne, in the suburb. That was surprising. Yeah, there's a lot. Anything else? Yeah.
I've seen a bush turkey. They terrorize our chickens.
Well, that's like a perfect example of like the wild animal versus like the domestic animals.
I think the coolest animal I've ever seen in the wild was a moose. When I was in Sweden, I saw this giant moose, and it had a little baby moose. It was so big. It was so much bigger than I thought it was going to be. It was amazing.
That's pretty awesome. I saw a turtle, and that was pretty cool as well.
That's awesome.
They're very cute. Cool. Well, that's good. We can still see animals in the wild, and I think that's really, really good. And we want to keep doing that. So there's like plenty of things that need to happen, but we also need to all make sure that we can still see animals in the wild. Yeah, Sarah?
Sarah? Did you want to share?
Monkeys in Vietnam.
You wanted to say something, Sarah? No. No?
Sorry, your
I couldn't
internet's,
hear you.
your internet's a little bit spotty, Sarah. Alrighty.
Okay, so now it's activity time. See, do you guys know what's, okay, so I'm not sure I'm gonna pronounce it properly, so Tobias might need
Yep.
some help. Do you know how to make a herbarium?
Herbarium.
Herbarium? Do you know what it is? No? Have you ever made one? So there's a photo here that I've created. So a herbarium is actually what scientific would create. So imagine scientific from like England that will just go and explore Australia or maybe South America, and they'll just come into this land with all those new plants and seeds that they've never seen before. So they will draw on their journal to kind of like keep track of like the different plants and the different animals that they kind of like seeing, but they will also cut some of those plants and just put them in their journal, and sometimes they will just give them names. So that's something that a lot of people do now as well, and it can be like a really fun activity. I personally enjoy doing it, and it's called a herbarium. So it's pretty much like you pick some of your plants, and it can be anything. It can be like a leaves that you really like. It can be a flower that you've seen. It can be like just any piece of like plant that you enjoy. And the idea is like we're gonna dry it between pieces of paper, and then you're gonna stick it nicely on the beautiful like fresh piece of paper in a day or two. And then you're gonna write the name, and you can use it as a poster, and you can use it as a book. So today we're gonna do the first step, because you need to dry your plants before you can actually like put them nicely on a piece of paper. So I've asked you guys to pick and like, few plants that you have around the garden or even around the house, a microgreen. What did you get? Did you get any?
Flowers. Flowers.
Do you know what type of flower? Ooh, that's nice. Okay.
No, we don't.
That's very beautiful.
Some sort of tea tree flower.
Awesome.
These are our chards that didn't grow.
That's perfect. It can be a nice memory.
No.
Nice souvenir. Okay, so I think I can recognize, I've got some of those as well. What is that?
What is it? Rosemary.
Rosemary. Yes.
I've got
Yes.
I've got bay leaves
Bay leaves, nice.
and the little top, the top where all the seeds and stuff are.
Yeah, I've got lavender. I really, really love lavenders. I think it smells amazing and it looks so pretty. Anyone else has lavender? Yeah. Okay, and I've got also, what is that? A piece of olive tree. And like you can use the whole kind of like branch like this, or if you prefer, you can even just cut few leaves, right? Just like that. Okay. I've got a leaf of lemon tree as well. Look at that, it's really pretty. So to start with, you need old pieces of paper or newspaper. Do you have any of that? I've used kind of like old ones. Because this is not the paper you're going to use to make your poster of your book. This is the paper you're going to use to kind of press the flower and dry them. Oh, that's a beautiful piece of fern.
Yeah, it's a lovely thing.
You have paper, like you need few of them.
Oh, nice. Hillary's got some newspaper.
If you've got scissors as well, or you can. And then you need like heavy books. Like, maybe 2 or 3, depends how many plants you have. And that's going to help us to press the leaves in between. Okay, perfect. So do we have everything with us? Are we all ready? It's going to be a bit hard. I'm going to try to show you. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to take a piece of paper like that. I'm going to put my lavender here.
I'm not ready.
You don't have to place it perfectly at the moment. You just want the lavender to be in between 2 pieces of paper like that. See, my lavender is in here. And then what you can do, if your book is big enough, you actually place the paper in the book like that. I don't know if you can see.
I'm not ready.
It's just like on the table, 1 piece of paper, you leave on the top, you place them just without thinking too much. You put another piece of paper on the top or newspaper, and then on the top of that, you put a heavy book. So it's going to press nicely on it.
Put in the book.
Okay.
I'm going to use another piece of paper here, and I'm going to do the same for my leaves.
This?
Like that.
We want to do. There's one of each. Okay. And you get another piece on top.
Yeah, and then I stick it in a book. So do I squish it? No, inside the book.
You can
No,
do
inside the book.
You do it, you put it on the book.
No, inside.
You can do inside the books, or you can just put in between books. Doesn't matter. The most important is just that you've got enough weight on all your paper.
I'll get you another book.
Mine.
I'll just sit on it.
Don't. You're not supposed to. They're supposed to dry. You're not supposed to sit on them.
That's, I can see the kitchen book is perfect.
So I put mine. I put a pot plant on top of mine.
So see, I actually have a stack of books, and in between I've got my piece of paper with my plants.
I'll put a screen on it. Yeah.
If I wait on the top, you can leave it on the side of a table. I'm just gonna let you. Yes, perfect. Just
Is
whatever, maybe enough. Because what is like we want the paper to absorb the extra moisture from the plants. And we want the leaves and the plants to be completely flat. So when you're gonna remove them lastly, they're gonna be all flat, and you're gonna be able to put them on a really beautiful piece of paper and with a piece of paper. And then you can write what type of plant it is. But you can only do that once your plants are really nice, flat, and dry. So you have to probably have to wait a whole day. So check on them tomorrow to see if they're nice and flat and dry, okay?
Can I use a petal from one of your plants?
Cool.
Got a thumbs up from Darcy. Awesome. I'm excited to see my one. I want to check on it now, but I'm going to have to wait. Be nice and patient.
Yeah, you can't open it every hour and check, because otherwise it's gonna, you know, it's like if you open the oven every 5 minutes, then the whole heat is gonna come out. It's the same. Like if you remove your book every hour, it's not gonna work as much. So you have to be a bit patient, okay? And what we're gonna do is, like, I wrote like instruction. And I think the instruction, usually they don't come until Monday, but maybe we can send you the presentation, this one, to you guys. So tomorrow you can check and start making the rest of the herbarium. Herbarium? I'm still pronouncing this correctly. But it's pretty much like, as I said, you can also check on YouTube. There's a lot of like really nice YouTube video. Just because there's so many different ways you can create really nice posters, or you can create like a whole book. If you get inspired, that's actually a really cool activity that you can start with, like 1 or 2, or maybe you're walking down the street in a couple of days and you find a really nice plant or a really nice flower, and you can continue and create like a whole book of different plants. And it's really, really nice to start learning about the different plants as well.
Yeah, you can even make a journal of all the plants in your backyard. So you can make samples. You can take specimens of every plant in your backyard and press them like this, and then make a book of your backyard. That'd be pretty cool thing to have. Pretty cool thing to make. Yeah. Nice memories and stuff.
Yeah, and you can have several on one piece of paper. You can have one. You can even start drawing them as well next to them. There's just like so many things you can do.
Yes, Hillary?
We might have a bit too much plants to do it, so maybe not all of them, maybe just a few of them.
Okay.
Maybe just your favorites.
Favorites. And the one, and I don't know if you guys know that, but plants have their common names. So, you know, the name like lavender, we know them. We use lavender every day, but they also have scientific name. And usually in an herbarium, you also write the scientific name of the plant. So what you can do is also research on Google what's the scientific, and it's often like a Latin name, and then you can write next to it. And like that, it's like really pro. It's kind of like a proper way to do that.
Hillary, did you have another question?
Some of our plants are really big, so maybe not all.
Well, I'll let you figure it out. I'm sure you're very smart, and you'll make it work. Yeah. Maybe you just need to find a really big book, a huge book.
Or create a poster of it. So that was the half of the activities, and we would love to see if you manage to create a herbarium, or like, you know, how it turns out at the end. If you take photo and send it to us or on the Facebook page, it would be really great to be able to see what came out.
Or if next week's
session
as well, if you want to share what you've created.
Yeah.
That could be cool.
Okay.
Awesome.
Any question? No?
No.
All right. Well,
did everyone have fun today? Looks like Hillary had fun. Awesome.
Okay. Well, everyone, have a lovely, lovely Saturday. It was nice to spend a bit of time with you today, and yeah, I can't wait to see your beautiful flowers and plants.
Who's smiling?
Awesome. Nice smiles, boys. Smile and wave. Awesome. Alrighty, see you later, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you.
No worries. Thank you.
Bye.